Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're finally here. We are starting a new series, and it's Chainsaw Man. I'm pretty excited. So, I know nothing about Chainsaw Man, but about a year ago, my brother was telling me that he was really excited that they were starting Chainsaw Man, and they were doing an anime adaptation because he loves the manga, and was telling me how good it was. And he was like, oh, you'll really, really like that series when it comes out. So I've been trying to temper my expectations and temper my hype and keep it down the down low, but I'm gonna be honest, the last week, in the Discord, we've been talking about it, and everybody's been black boxing. It's been just a wall of black box. It feels like someone handed me a top secret government document that I can read nothing of. It's all been black boxed. And so I've been patiently waiting, and today it came out, and I was at work all day just sitting there being I stayed off of Twitter. I was I'm not getting on Twitter. I'm not doing anything. I don't want any secrets being spilled. As soon as I get home and do things and eat dinner, I'm going to sit down and watch Chainsaw Man because I've been really excited. I've also been reading Fujimoto's one-shots the last couple of weeks to get prepared. So, do I have any expectations for this series? No, I'm keeping it as my mind as free of expectations as possible. It's a shonen, obviously. It's serialized in Shonen Jump. So I'm thinking Jujutsu Kaisen-esque a bit. But my brother was like, it's like Jujutsu Kaisen, but gorier. And I was like, But knowing Fujimoto, it not only is gorier, but knowing Fujimoto, it's going to have a lot more deeper, darker themes and maybe talk about some subject matter that's a little bit more taboo, perhaps. I've been told I need to read Fire Punch, and so when this season is over of Chainsaw Man, I am planning on reading Fire Punch on here, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I don't have any expectations. I've not listened to the OP, the ED. I've heard there's 12 EDs, it's a different ED each episode because why not be excessive? But one thing I am looking forward to that someone said in the Discord was about there's apparently film references in the OP, and that's all I know about this episode in its entirety. But I know Fujimoto's a big film buff, so I'm excited to see that and talk about it. But yeah, if you're joining the channel for the first time, I go into these series blind. I have no clue what they're about. I stay spoiler free as I can. Everybody in the Discord black boxes until the episode comes out on Patreon, and it comes out a week early on there, and then it'll air on here. So I do ask if you are joining us for the first time to just do one thing, and that is please, if you're going to comment down below, please no manga spoilers, please tag any spoilers so that if I read your comment, I am not spoiled. Pretty please. Otherwise, I'm excited to talk about this show with y'all and just dive in and see what in the world it's about. I grew up watching shonen, so I'm used to the formulas, but we're going to see how this series subverts that formula because a lot of modern shonen, they subvert it ever so slightly. Jujutsu Kaisen has its own subversions. I'm curious to see what Chainsaw Man does, so we'll see. But in any case, I'm done messing around. We're going to start episode 1 of Chainsaw Man. I'm really ready. So we're going to do that here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And y'all, I will see you all on the other side. I shouldn't be surprised that I'm bringing Whiteboard-kun out because it's Fujimoto. And if we know anything from the last 3 one-shots that I've read from Fujimoto, everything is cinematic, there's lots of themes, there's lots of imagery and symbolism, and it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun to go through an actual series and pick it apart. Kind of like what I did with the one-shots, except the one-shots, they're very self-contained, and this is like a whole season, so I think they said this season was going to be 12 episodes, so I can't wait for the rule of 8, right, when we get to it. But yeah, man, this is a very, very, very solid opening introduction episode. It's there's more to do with just Denji and Pochita and talking about them and kind of his whole origin story here and the themes that Fujimoto are touching upon that kind of make it a little bit fresher as far as protagonists go, right? It makes it a little bit fresher, right? And so we want to talk about that and just kind of the setup of Denji, and even his name, Denji. I know it has a Japanese meaning, but when I think of, in English, dingy, when something's dingy, it's kind of dirty and dusty and gritty, right? And so dingy being, it's almost like I know Fujimoto's watched enough Western film and probably knows enough English to kind of get the double meaning behind that. Not only is dingy his name, but it's also you'd have the connotation in English where it's just kind of dirty and grungy, right? And then Pochita, it's just Fujimoto was can we make the most marketable thing possible. Yes, Pochita is the most marketable thing possible. I was just like, I want a plush of it right now, and I've only seen this show for 25 minutes. So, but that's, yeah, it's just like the cutest thing. And Fujimoto's like, you're gonna want one. Right? And I'm a dog person, so I'm just like, I was already watching the episode thinking, could I dress Huckleberry up as Pochita for Halloween? I could. I really could. But interesting. So, we've talked about this in Fujimoto's one-shots, but like the cinematic quality. This is, the elements that are similar to Jujutsu Kaisen are the demon elements. Like the fact, not Pochita. Pochita is like its own cute little thing. It's the most marketable thing imaginable. But like the tomato devil, that looks very reminiscent. And the devil that was like the zombie devil, it looks very reminiscent of the demon that was in Jujutsu Kaisen, like in the opening episode, right? It seems very reminiscent of that. So, but honestly, aside from that element, there's not really much that it's similar with Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, at the end, you have the cloaked individuals come in and look like they're members of the FBI, but they're not associated with a school, I don't believe. Could be wrong, or maybe it's their own, agency or whatnot. But so this opening with Denji, I feel like the opening where we see him like going towards the shed, I feel like this is present time. I feel like this is going towards the present time. Or maybe he's going back to his shack. Maybe he's going back to his house. And he's just going back there. But it seemed like he was hesitating to open the door, which makes me believe that this is in the present time and this whole episode is flashing back to the past, right? That this is all taking place in the present time, and now we've got to go back to Denji's past to see how he got here to this point. I feel like we're going to come back to here at some point. But episode 1, Dog and Chainsaw. Now, a lot of people said there was a lot of references in the OP, and so we'll see. But yeah, and it's him opening up. Okay. But see, it's kind of a misdirect because we see him opening the door to what we assume is the shack that he's in now, but I don't know if that's the case. I'm not sure if we didn't really see how he got to the shack, or at least when we go back through this episode. So I don't know if it's a misdirect, right? But anyway, we get the establishment that Denji is incredibly poor and he's living in this shack and has barely enough to survive, right? It's just literally bare bones. And he's like, gotta head to work. And he has Pochita with him. But yeah, it's very, the thing that struck me about the animation, and Mappa does an amazing job animating this, but the thing that struck out to me is that it doesn't feel like an anime is shot, right? It doesn't feel like an anime. It feels like a film, right? And an anime has like certain pacing, certain structure. It has certain like beats that it hits. Even Jujutsu Kaisen hits those same beats, right? And you kind of expect like the scenery, the characters, they all have a very like just traditional stereotypical anime feel to them, even when they're more gritty or realistic. This is very, very gritty and very realistic, with the exception of Pochita. Even the demons kind of have like a gritty look to them. And the way that it's shot, like the lingering wide shots, everything, there's a lot of, again, I'm really glad that I watched Neon Genesis Evangelion before starting this film, before starting this series, because there's a lot of tie-ins. So, like I've done with the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, if you watched my reaction to that, I'm just gonna have like a little NGE corner up here and just kind of just talk references. Just talk references. Now, could these be references to other things? Absolutely, but they make me think of Neon Genesis, so I'm just gonna put them up here. The lingering wide shots. I know that's in 1,000 other movies, but just coming off of End of Evangelion and those other films, I feel like it's a very Neon Genesis thing. And Fujimoto has said that Neon Genesis is one of his favorite series. So, what can we do, right? But I do love this overlooking this town. So it's just like, this town is nothing big. It's not a big city. It's nothing major. So I'm going to put Denji up here and just kind of talk about him. I'm starting to put Denji right here. Oh, Denji. And we're going to say that the town, it's small to medium size. It's not a city. It's just like it's just like a town. So it's like the town you would see like just in a normal podunk horror movie, right? Honestly, because Fujimoto seems very inspired by horror films for this episode. And so you have this small town and you have Denji's had several jobs, right? But he is currently working working part-time for the Yakuza of that town. And they're not even like big fry. They're just small fry Yakuza in this city. Not like Tokyo, not a nationalist organization, nothing like that. They're just working with the Yakuza. So he's doing that, but he also has done other things too. So he's cutting trees for 60,000 yen a month. Or at least we assume that it's yen, right? I want to do a real quick conversion because I'm from the US, and so I want to know like the dollar rate, like how much he's getting paid to do that. So if we did 60,000 is 400. Okay, so 60,000 yen is basically in US dollars about $411 a month. That ain't gonna pay for much. Okay, so we have that. I'm gonna like convert this as we go because I'm curious like his monthly rent and like everything of why would you pay rent to do that he sold a kidney. So yeah, he sold a kidney. He sold a kidney and got 1.2 million out of that. So that was 1, 2, 3. He got 8,000. He only got $8,000 for a kidney. Yeah, so 8,200. We're going to say 8,200 around that time for the kidney. Oh my God. He sold it for that. And then he says that he also sold an eye. His right eye was 300,000. So yeah, he said his right eye was 300,000. That was 1.2 mil. I'm curious how much he got out of all these things because it's just kind of insane. Yeah, he only got $2,000 for his eye. $2,555 for his eye. And then he said he sold his nut. Yeah. What did he say? He like sold one of his nuts. And it was a dog. He's like, how much was that? Not even 100,000. So that was like $680. Yep. And so one of his nuts, which he got 100,000 yen out of. And that ended up being $685. Oh my God. So yeah, so just the idea being that Denji has always been struggling for money and he's been poor. And so he's just not been afraid to sell anything to survive. And he's like, what does he still owe? And he still owes 38 million yen. So that would be, how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He still owes $260,000. So that's what he says he owes, $260,000. And he's like, the sad thing is, it's like when you put that into perspective on there, it's like he sold like a kidney, an eye, and a testicle, and that covered maybe 1% of what he owed that was left behind. And so we find out that that was the debt. That was the debt of his father, who hung himself. Who hung himself because he couldn't pay the rent. And then, so we had that established. We also established that his mom died of an illness that could be genetic, or it could be just like a sickness, like a plague that he inherits, right? Because he starts coughing up blood in that one scene, right? But yeah, he's like, I still owe all this money. And he's just like, and then Pochita, I love Pochita, just like, he just growls, right? As soon as he senses a demon. He's like, I heard you, Pochita. That's interesting though. So yeah, so Pochita growled. He growled sensing the demon. But when he first met Denji, he growled at him, but Denji wasn't a demon. So maybe it's just whenever Pochita feels threatened altogether, whether it's human or demon, that's when he growls. Interesting. He's, let's kill this thing already. And he says a dead devil's usually good for 300,000 yen, which is about $2,000, right? So usually it's basically whatever your right eye costs, that's how much a demon's supposed to bring you. And he's got, like, he's just holding Pochita like a chainsaw. It's so funny. I don't know why, but just the visuals. And you know what he looks like? He looks like Fagin. I know I said that in the reaction. He looks like Fagin from Oliver and Company. Yeah, I get the Fagin vibes. If you've never seen that movie, go look it up. It's from the 80s. It's a Disney movie. He has, like, the trench coat like Fagin. He has, like, the worn out jeans. The tennis shoes are like Fagin's that he has. I love Oliver and Company, so that movie is, like, ingrained into my brain. And Pochita is orange like Oliver, except Oliver's a cat. And so, yeah, maybe Fujimoto's a little inspired by that. But Fagin in Oliver and Company is basically, he's poor. He doesn't have any money, but he takes these dogs in because he loves them. And that's kind of how Pochita is. He feels sorry for him, he takes him in, and Denji feels sorry for Pochita and takes him in too. But yeah, he says, devil hunting pays the best. It's easy. It pays the best easy. And then, yeah, you see the tomato devil. It just looks so creepy. Like with the mouth and all the eyeballs. Yeah. So, interesting. So, in this world, the devils and devil hunting is normal. Yeah, that's one thing we established in this world, that their devils are everywhere. People can see them all the time, or supposedly they can. And so devil hunters are pretty prevalent, or at least we get that idea, right? It's a very dour and grim world. It's not upbeat. And what we've seen so far in this world, it's very isolated. Like, there's not a lot of people walking around everywhere. Like what we see Denji, he's by himself. It's a very isolated world. Again, it feels very isolated and sparsely populated. It's very, very isolated and seems very lonely. So then we get this OP. I do want to go through it real quick and just do, like, we have angels and demons in the background, right? I love it. And we have, so yeah, there are 4 characters. There's Power is different than the other girl with the pink hair, the girl that sees him at the end. So they are 2 different characters. All right. And then we have the guy with the black hair, right? Interesting. And Denji with them. Okay, and Denji seems to like not Power, but the other girl that saved him. And so we see Denji with Pochita, and he's like standing in front of the cemetery holding him. I feel like that's from a movie. And then, okay, so the guy that I know, the only voice acting information I know, because everybody on Twitter was like, and because I love Suda, who voices Nanami in Jujutsu Kaisen. Suda voices this blonde guy who's holding the gun, which is based off Pulp Fiction. So there's that. I like that a lot, but the fact that Suda's in this, I'm already excited. I'm like, yes, please. And so then we have them going into the well. That looks like something from The Ring. We see somebody putting their boot on. Interesting. We see somebody backing up. What is this from? There's different movies, and I wish I could name them all. Okay, and them all sitting in the theater. And there's people, like, in the background. There's somebody with angel wings. Like, what? All these characters. I'm so curious. There's another character with an eye patch. Denji has his eye back, which should have been a sign that, something else is happening. And then, okay, the one with the bowling ball, which, again, is hilarious because he sold a nut. And I was cracking up about that in the reaction. But that's the Big Lebowski. So it's based off of that. Okay, yep, and Jesus. Oh my God, it's great. So yeah, the Big Lebowski. And then Power. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to call it right now. I'm getting huge Asuka vibes from Power. I could be totally wrong. But not only in her design, but her attitude, I'm getting huge Power Asuka vibes. Just gonna say it. Don't spoil me. I'm sure we'll find out how dissimilar. But even the Power is very much like... Okay, so the Power is very much like based off like He-Man or She-Ra. And in the background, you see Denji on a leash and the other girl's leading him like a dog. Okay, interesting. Yep, and then we have characters we don't know yet. There's that one... She's like sitting there. Her sitting there with him in her lap feels like Rei and Shinji, right? And Denji and Shinji. Oh, okay. Denji and Shinji. Although they are very different characters. I want to point out they're very different characters. We'll talk about that. But yeah, and then the pink-haired girl may be a little bit like Rei. Maybe a bit. Is the guy with black hair Kaoru? No, I'm joking. But yeah, and then all the flowers and the Venus flytraps coming out of him. Interesting. But yeah, her. Okay, and yeah, he has like the Venus flytraps, and then oh, ew, the chainsaw coming out of his head. Mm-hmm. Okay, and she's feeding him like a snail or something. Curious. But then yeah, him like going across, and then power. We see him. The guy has a sword. It's like there's so much. Oh god, it's like something like out of Alien. I love it. But what could it be? Interesting. And she has a mallet. The girl that looks like the power girl. And then him cutting the egg. And so yeah, it shows like him. Okay, so it shows the door like retreating. That's the door he comes out of. So maybe that's where he ends up staying, like once he joins this girls' association. Curious. And then there's some creepy tree thing, some weird, these demons that look really scary. And it cuts from like the demons looking super scary to like Power and Denji and these other people like just dancing around having a good time. Fujimoto, what we doing? Interesting. Curious. Chainsaw Man. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the similarities. Denji is not the same person as Shinji. He is a person of action, which is quite different than Shinji in Neon Genesis. So he's like the tomato devil. He'll revive from the seeds, so you want to burn those. So yeah, so Denji seems pretty knowledgeable. He seems pretty knowledgeable about the demons in this world, or the devils, as they call them, right? And so then, but he's basically just working for the Yakuza, doing odd jobs on top of everything else, right? The carcass will bring a fair price on the black market. So it says, I'll pay you 400,000 yen. When she's like, oh, great. He's like, after what you owe us, after what you owe in the interest, that leaves 170,000. And you can just see him slowly being like, oh. And then he's like, so then you get your finder's fee, your admin fee, and the management costs. And you just slowly see Denji's face just completely sink. Like, are you joking? And he's left with 70,000 yen, which 70,000... $470. So, to be fair, the tree cutting got him $411 a month, and this one demon got him $400 a month. But then he says by the time that he pays the water bill and some other stuff that I owe, I'm left with $1,800 for the month. He says, funny how that works. Yeah, there's definitely Fujimoto calling to life the reality. And I love the theme of this episode is the cost of living, right? God, I love it. I love that Fujimoto's like, okay, let's talk about the cost of living, right? Because Denji's by himself. He's all alone. He's not a high school student. I don't think he's not a high school student. It's clear he has not gone to college or high school. He's probably dropped out. His dad was in the Yakuza. He's just trying to survive. He doesn't have time to worry about school. He just wants to live, right? And so he ends up with $12 for the month to pay for food. So he's like, we're just gonna eat bread. Which it's so sad. But the thing about Denji is that he's like, this is gonna have to last us a month. We don't have any food at home. So I guess we're just going to be eating bread. Dinner's gonna be a slice of bread, Pochita. And so you get the idea in this world that he said that basically that $400 and something was going to last him the month, and then after he paid bills. So there's clearly devils in this world, but they might be few and far between, or it could be like that one devil was called the tomato devil. Well, they seem like they're in a very rural area, so it may be that, you know, the devils there are just kind of like, you know, there's a corn devil somewhere in a cornfield. Like, you know, they're few and far between. Whereas if you go to a big metropolitan area, there may be more devils. And so then it may be a whole different spectrum, right? But where Denji is, he only kills, you know, whatever devil he comes across. But if they're few and far between, then they only last him so long. Like, he's not getting rich off killing devils. That's why he's doing all the other jobs, right? So, but it's so sad that he's just like, well, we're just going to eat. He's like Aladdin, basically. He's like Aladdin, him and Abu. Pochita's like Abu, and he's like, we'll be fine. He's a street rat. And so, yeah, the one guy that works for him is like, why do you hire a brat like that to hunt devils? This is the part that got me like Shinji. He's like, he's paying off what he owes us. Or rather, what his deadbeat old man's debt was. He's like, a kid with a pet devil, can they get the job done? And he says the thing about real devil hunters is they don't pass devil carcasses onto the Yakuza. So there is this like little bits of pieces. Like if they were a real devil hunter, they would not give the carcass to a Yakuza. They would take it somewhere else or dispose of it in a different means. So we're getting like little bits of the world building as we go, right? But he says, besides, the best thing about Denji is he does what he's told. Yeah. So much like Shinji, he does what he's told. But Denji doesn't really have a choice in the matter. That's the thing. He legit, I mean, he could starve. I guess he could starve. But all he knows is that debt of his father's, and then he has to pay it off somehow or he'll die. So he really is kind of pressed for choice, right? I guess he could choose to die, but he's chosen to live instead. And so now he's worried about the cost of living, right? And the Yakuza are just taking advantage of it because they know he's between a rock and a tight place. I do love that they have a gremlin. I just love that they have, of all cars, they have a freaking gremlin. I loved gremlins when I was a kid. I wanted one so bad. It's great. But yeah, the one guy that's the driver, he tells him he'll give 100 yen to eat the cigarette. And he gladly does it, right? He does it, the cigarette. But Denji fakes it out, right? He pretends to eat it, right? So Denji he's good at playing the part. Like, he has his own ambitions and dreams, but he's also very realistic, and he's like, I can't do anything until I get rid of my father's debt. And he's like, the problem is that doesn't seem very likely. Yeah, and then they drive off, and he goes, bleh, and spits out the cigarette, which is great, right? And then I thought he was going to feed it to Pochita, but he doesn't. He's like, that'll keep us for another 3 days. Oh, because yeah, how much is 100 yen? Like, how much? He did it for 69 cents. And then we have his shack. Okay, so yeah, his shack is out in the woods. I was like, did we ever see the outside of his shack? Right. So, and he's got the firewood chopped up from Pochita using it. So whatever room we went to at the very start of the series is not where he's at now. And he says, the other day I heard that normally people put jam on their bread before eating it. Meaning that he's never had bread with jam before, which is the saddest thing in the world. I don't even like jam, and I feel bad for him. I'm like, oh, not having toast. So Denji, he has never known a normal life. He's never known a normal life. He's never had bread with jam, which if you think about it, his dad was always owing money. And so his mom died at an early age, it seems like. So it seems like he just never had a stable life to begin with. And he's just stuck in this cycle, right? I feel like there's a conversation there about how Denji is stuck in a cycle that was started by his parent and that he has to take over for, and he's stuck in it. And I feel like I know a lot of people that are stuck in that same cycle that they really don't have a control over, but they've been put in this situation and they really have their hands tied. I feel like Denji's kind of a representation of that. And he says, normal is just a dream for us, though. Which is really sad. He's like, I doubt I'll pay off this debt before I die. But that's the thing about Denji that I like already, is that his character understands the reality of the situation. He has dreams and ideals, but he also is realistic, right? So he has dreams, but he's realistic. He's convinced himself of the fact that he's not going to be able to have a normal existence because he's paying off his... But he doesn't seem resentful or hateful of his father. He just seems like, this is just what I have to do. I don't have a choice, right? And so he's like, I'm probably going to die without having a girlfriend too. So Denji has very few requirements that he wants, right? He wants a girlfriend. He wants to paraphrase what he said, he wants to score with said girlfriend. He wants to score with said girlfriend, and he wants toast and jam. I don't think that's asking for a lot. Those are pretty realistic goals, right? He's like, and he says, again, he's realistic. He's like, not that I could invite a girl to this dump. Like, he's like, look at where I live. He's like, I can't bring a girl here. He's like, this place looks awful. Like, he's at least somewhat of a nice guy about it. He's like, no money to go on dates either. And so he's been telling Pochita this the whole time. Pochita says later that he understands his dreams and he's been listening to him. And I love the animation. He's like, if I could have one dream come true, I want to score with a girl before I die. Denji's on a mission to get laid, y'all. We have all these shonen series where the protagonist is like world peace, becoming a god, solving like family crises, protecting a loved one, just wants to have sex. Just wants to get laid one time before he dies. That's our protagonist's mission. I feel like Fujimoto's just like, let's just get down to brass tacks. Which has me excited because Fujimoto, I'm like, you know, every other shonen I've watched has been like romance. Shonen protagonist and romance. We can't have that. And so I'm like, is our protagonist actually going to have a relationship? A legit relationship? That'd be great. It'd be great if you could do that, Fujimoto. It'd be very realistic too, right? But we cut back to when his dad died and with the whole symbolism of the cross and everything. And then we have the Yakuza leader, right? So I feel like, again, we have the cemetery. The cemetery and the grave. And the left by father. And we can talk in the comments about that connection to Neon Genesis. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that's not seen it, but I'm just going to put it up there. But I love that it's just this marker. And the Yakuza boss doesn't even roll down his window. He doesn't even roll down his window for Denji. He's just like, the bastard hung himself without paying this month's installment first. Like, how dare he kill himself before he paid his month's rent? And he says, you've got until tomorrow to put $700,000 together. Like... He says, you can beg for it, whore yourself out. I don't care. Get it done. Otherwise, we chop you up and sell the bits. Which makes me wonder if that was like him, like selling the eye, selling the kidney, doing all that. And poor Denji, he's just like, and that's when he hears the little demon, the little Pochita. It's like sitting there like, got his little chainsaw going. I'm like, oh my God. But the reason why he's mad is the reason why Pochita's angry is because he has that like hole in his side where he's about to die. And he's like, just do it anyway. I'm dead either way. And the demon can't move because he's hurt. And Denji, I mean, I would say Denji's probably like 11 or 12 years old in that flashback. He looks like it. But Pochita's like bleeding out. Like it's got these puncture wounds. He's got puncture wounds like another demon's bit into Pochita's side, right? He got bit by another demon. And he's like, you're going to die too. So yeah, Denji's just like, he's been at death's door for years. And so the concept of dying, he's just like, what do we do? And so then he ends up, he lets Pochita drink his blood and makes it a contract. He's like, I'm not giving this to you for free. He's like, he lured Pochita in. He's like, I'll help you if you help me. Right? And so that's how he lured, I'm putting it in here, he lured Pochita. He lured Pochita to help him. So that proves something too about Denji's character, that he wasn't, wanting to just die in that moment. He was just like, no, he lured him in to get him to help him, which is a big thing about his character, right? And then I like that Pochita's just like, fine, I'll help you. And then he manages to kill the demon. And is like, why don't you hire me as a devil hunter? And then they do. And just him on that cot, like on that nasty mattress, like just him all curled up next to Pochita. It's really sad, right? And he's like, I'm too hungry, I can't sleep. He's like, when I can't sleep, I start thinking about money. And then it's even harder to sleep. He's like, I just get further down the rabbit hole. Touching on some real life things that happen with people, right? And then Pochita, he's like, I know what dream I want to have when I sleep. And then Pochita's just listening to him. He's like, I'm going to put jam on my bread and I'm going to share it with you. Oh, and he just wants to share it with Pochita. It's cute. And I'm going to flirt with a girl. And I'll play video games with her and then we'll fall asleep hugging each other. Sounds sweet, right? See, that's very sweet. Yeah, he's not even wanting to get laid at that point. He just wants to play video games and hug a girl. Like that's the basic thing he wants, right? Like, he can't fault Denji for that. But then he has a thing where he spits up the blood. So the thing about it is that in the end, whether he basically gave his heart to Pochita or not, he was gonna die either way. Like, Denji was either gonna die from not paying the debt to the Yakuza, or he had some illness that killed his mom that was gonna take his life anyway. So in the end, giving his heart over to Pochita may have been the best thing he could have done to stay alive, right? It's just, what are the catches of combining your heart with a demon and selling your soul? Why not? And he's like, I heard my mom died from some heart disease that made her cough up blood. Ugh. And that's when he's called into work. So the question is, did combining with Pochita, like, cure him of that? Because he got all the rest of him put back together? Did it cure him of that? Or is that going to be something that's brought back up again in the future? We do not know. We're not given that. But yeah, so he gets taken by the one guy. And again, the cinematic quality of this, where he's like, got his head leaned out against the window. He's like, I wish they'd let me dream. And the town being upside down, like, it's just, it feels like a movie. This doesn't feel like a TV show, right? It just feels like a short film. I love it. And even like the winding curves, the roads, like, it all just feels very cinematic. And like them going to this warehouse, right, where the zombie demon is. And the moment that the one guy like started walking really slow and wasn't saying anything, I was like, nope, this does not bode well. Not feeling this. Nah. And he's like, you work like a dog. You're cheap like one too. And the problem with dogs is I can't stand the stench. And so, yeah, the fact that we didn't see the Yakuza guy's face or his eyes, and then you don't see it up until the part where Denji gets stabbed, with the sword and everything. Like, just, ugh. And poor Pochita's like, I've been stabbed too. Oh, it's so sad. But yeah, he's like, the Yakuza think about getting bigger and making more money. And just absorb, like, just crawling up into him and using him like a puppet. No, not here for that. Nope. Ugh. Will say, though, at this point, he's like, we wanted demonic power, and I want devil hunters. Yeah, it's like he wanted devil hunters dead. So yeah, this creepy, like, head, nasty, demonic zombie devil, yeah, it exchanged demon powers for them in exchange for it wanting to kill Denji because he's a devil hunter. So we established here that there are devils in this world. All right. And that there are devil hunters who get rid of them. And that it says that if you take some demon power, you can get possessed, which is what happens with these zombies. But you can also make deals with the devils, like what he does with Pochita. Which Pochita and Denji are kind of both in the same boat. They're like both gonna die. And then Pochita's like, well, I won't die if I take your body. And you won't die if I take your body. So let's work something out. But yeah. Oh my gosh. And I will say at this point, from this point on in the episode, we're halfway through. At this point in the episode, if you are not somebody that likes gore, I could see you being like, and I'm out. I could see that you being like, nope, can't do it. I walked into this knowing that it was going to be gory. But even I was like, we did not censor this at all. This is pretty gory. But then again, Fujimoto's basing a lot of stuff off the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's a pretty gory movie too. So, you know. But, okay, again, how do I get out of here? The exit sign. The exit sign in green. I'm sorry, but it did not have to be there. Did not. But that green exit sign, Neon Genesis, baby, I was like, yes. Yes, have all for it. Like, get off the stage, right? I'm just amazed that he gets as far as he does and that they just chop him up. I didn't think they'd actually chop him up. I figured he'd become Chainsaw Man somehow, like, during this moment. I didn't think they'd actually chop him up. I was like, oh my God. I did not see that happening. I didn't see us going to the dumpster where he's in pieces, right? Where he's just sitting there in pieces. Ugh. did not see like his decapitated head and everything. But that blood gets past the money slip, right? Past the note for the money. I feel like this is a pretty symbolic moment there. And gets into Pochita's mouth. And then Pochita flashes back. And he remembers like all the good times. Remembered him eating bread and it being nice. He's like, my only regret would be leaving you on your own. You could end up starving to death. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing about Denji too, is that he is very compassionate. Right? That's the one thing I really like about his character right off the bat, is that he's a good egg. Right? He's compassionate. He could be just like a sourpuss that's just using Pochita to get money. But no, he genuinely wants to care for Pochita. To the point where he's like, well, if something happens to me, take my body so that you can keep on going. It's like, aw. He's like, some other devil hunter might try to kill you. And so he's like, if something happens, oh, I heard some devils can take over dead bodies. If that's something you can do, then I want you to have my body when it's over. Ugh. The Yakuza won't be on your case if you wait until I've been buried. So yeah, he's like, just wait, let me be buried and then come get my body, and that way you can go live on your life. That's so kind of sweet, you know? And then you can move out of here and live a normal life and die a normal death. He's like, there's no way that I'm going to get out of this debt, but you could take my body and go live a life that's your own. Aww, that's kind of sweet. And then you got Pochita with this the little starter thing swaying. It's like, God, Fujimoto, what did you do creating this cute little character that's like a demon? You gotta make my dream come true. You, Pochita, you gotta go get laid. You seem resourceful. You can find a lady. Oh my God, I love it. But then yeah, and that blood trickling down. And then it just shows the wire stringing the body back together. Ugh. It's like the wire from the cord taking it all back together. And him, like, his body merging with Denji's. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Devilman Crybaby. A little bit like when the demon's like eating people. It reminds me a little bit of that, but it's like, it's a symbiosis. It's attaching himself to him. It's like becoming part of him. Ugh. Yeah, it's very Devilman Crybaby. And that's when he like sees the drink. And it's like healed his eye and everything. And it shows him like down the dumpster. And then Pochita talks! Pochita like has this cute little voice. And he's like, did you take my body like I said? And he's even happy about it. He's like, oh, did you do what I asked you to? And Pochita, he says, I always loved hearing you talk about your dreams, Denji. And I love Denji's like, oh shit, you can talk. He's like, here's the deal. I'll give you my heart. In exchange, I want you to show me your dream. He's like, I don't know how to get laid, Denji. Teach me. So yeah, Pochita exchanges the heart. In exchange, he wants Denji to live his dream. He's like, if we do this, he's like, you got to be able to live your dream if I give you my heart. It's like, that's the only way. I want you to be happy too. It's like, oh. And that's when he wakes up out of the dumpster. Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, he's like, I'm not hurt. And then he has the chainsaw, like the thing, because yeah, Pochita's inside his heart. Which is kind of sad. It's a little sad Pochita's stuck in there. I'm like, I really like him. He's super cute. But yeah. And then Denji rips the whole Chainsaw Man thing and becomes this demon. Yeah, with the chainsaws coming out of his hands, and then it's like coming out of his neck and everything, like the mask. Oh my God, it's great. And he just basically massacres the place. It's a fun time. Yeah, at this point, it's mostly just the gore of it. Except then we have the people coming up. So somebody had been in charge. Somebody knew about the zombie devil and was coming there to take care of them already. The girl with the pink hair that we don't know who she is yet. But she gets out of the car first. She's clearly the one in charge, right? And the two guys in the hats are following her. And she says something smells. It's not human and it's not devil. It's like this mix, which is Denji's a mutt. Denji's a mutt, right? And she's like, did you do this? And her eyes are kind of weird. Like, she has, like, weird eyes. Which makes me think she has a devil in her, too. And all he says is for her to hug him. And that's what she does. And she hugs him. She hugs him, like, so sweetly. Like, just embraces him. Like, just does exactly what he asks. And I wonder if that's, like, how he turns back into a human, is that how the devil melts away is if she hugs him. But that's like the first thing he wanted to do, was like hug a girl. And here she is, right? And I love the animation of it just melting away off of him is absolutely gorgeous. Like, just that melting from him. Oh, so good. And then her being like, he's human. And they're like, is he possessed? And she says, no. I can tell who's possessed with a look at their face. And then she's like, I came here to kill the zombie devil. I'm a devil hunter with public safety. Public safety. Interesting. Curious. That sounds like just a regular organization, but I feel it's hardly that. And then she just sits there and cradles him. Like, she just cradles him in her arms, you know, just like it's nothing. She's like, you have two options. She's like, I can kill you like a devil like all these other ones, or I can keep you as a human. Now, keep him makes me think of the OP where she like has him on a leash. She's like, basically she's like, you're going to work for me like you did the Yakuza, except I'm not going to keep you in a shack. I'm going to feed you food and you get to stay at a nicer place, but you're going to work for me. You're either going to die as a devil or you're going to work for me as a human. Which do you want? And Denji's just like, I'm in the lap of a lady. I feel like he's not even paying attention. He's just like, I'm in a lady's lap. Oh my God. He's like, oh my God, are you an angel? Right? And he's just looking around like, do I want to be like those guys there? Nope. And he says, when you say that, like, what's for breakfast? It's the best answer he could have came up with. The best response. And I love that she looks at him for a second like, is this guy for real? And then she says, oh, well, bread with butter and jam, salad and coffee. I'm like, who eats salad for breakfast? And then maybe something for dessert, I think. I'm like, have you ate a breakfast before, Lucille Bluth? What is this? And he's just so in awe. And then, yeah. He's like, I mean, at this point, he's like, that sounds awesome. Yeah, because at this point, as there's like surrounded by all these bloody corpses. Yeah, because at this point, Denji has nothing to lose. There's that moment where he slaughters all the guys. He's like, I am a devil hunter. You guys are all devils, so I might as well finish my job. And now I don't have a debt to worry about. So yeah, his debt's gone. He's merged with Pochita, and he really doesn't have anywhere to go but up. He hit rock bottom. He died, hit rock bottom, and now it's like, okay, where we go to from here? And I guess working for public safety and being a devil hunter for this pink-haired girl. Why not? Which I feel like she has a demon inside of her too, but we don't get confirmation of that. But yeah, it was just a really good opening episode to give us a look into Denji's character and like what his aspirations are. They're pretty simple, but they're also pretty realistic, right? When you're somebody that has nothing, that's the thing. He doesn't have any big lofty ambitions or any like major huge goals. He's always had nothing. So just the bare minimum of basic human rights is enough to satisfy our protagonist. And I'm like, that's pretty realistic and crazy, right? So I like it. I'm excited to talk to you all in the comments down below about it. Please no manga spoilers or spoilers for the next episodes. But we can talk about this episode down below. I really, really like Denji. Pochita is the most marketable thing of the year. And I'm very, very intrigued by this public safety organization, by this pink-haired girl. And now that Denji's debt has been paid, so to speak, where we go to from here. So I really enjoyed this. I hope you all did too, but I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I am very excited, and we'll talk to you all next week with more Chainsaw Man. Bye.